Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Taking Up Space, a Michelle A. Muir podcast. Always excited about coming forward. Today's no different. Today, I want to speak to something. I'm always surfing these social media streets, and there's some people I'm very impressed with. Some of you that have not joined the live, that may be viewing on the outside, that, I see your names and I'm like, darn, I'm so impressed with what they offer. Their offerings are so unique and on point and thought-provoking. And a lot of times when I listen to what you're saying, I'll turn away from the live not because I'm not interested, but because I've gathered so much information, and I'm a thinker, y'all. I've gathered so much information that I'm full off of just that, and I need to capture that part. So I'll step away. I don't want to hear any more, even though I wish I could. But if I keep listening, I will forget what Spirit told me to lock in on, and it'll be replaced with something else that you say. And so I'll step away just to till that concept in my mind. So I want to thank all of you for your wonderful gifts. I thank you for coming forth and just going for what you know, not for needing a friend, not for needing attention, not to be trying to make yourself this or that, but because you really are provoked by the Spirit within you. The love aspect of yourself is provoking you to come forth and give up all that you are finding fascinating, and in the hopes that at least one person can tap in and align to it. Thank you for that. And I hope that this channel is a reflection of that. I don't have all the answers. I don't, honestly. I'm on a journey, y'all. And I'm learning as I go. Surely I know certain things, or at least I feel like I figured some things out, and I offer them up. But I'm in search of truth every single day, just like all of you. And my life is not perfect. It's a hot mess. This wrestle that I have had has taken everything of me to get through. Honestly, literally. I'm just a woman here. But it has been the most monumental wrestle of my life. Yet, it's been the most rewarding adventure that I have ever been on. Like, I've been on some adventures, though. Literally, I've been on some adventures. Yet this leg of the adventure is the most rewarding. But all those previous legs of my adventure, they built me for this. They made me capable to be able to contend in the manner in which I've been able to contend. And so I'm thankful to God. I'm thankful for the love of all of those people that have come before me and that constantly surround me now. And I'm thankful for you all. So I want to speak to today something that I saw last night. I was on these social media streets, just laying in my bed, eating a banana. Because I try to hang out with the healthy snacks nowadays. I do have a fetish for Lay's potato chips, plain Lay's, or sour cream and onion. But that's as far as I'm usually going to go. I've been cutting back on the sugars, but I know that the potatoes turn into sugar. So that's the most sugar that I'll get. But I try to do dried fruit or real fruit. And they give me a lot of gas. They do. But since it's just me and my daughter, I can deal with that. But nonetheless, that was probably too much information. But nonetheless, I try to lean towards the healthy snacks. And last night, while laying in my bed eating my healthy snacks, I was watching this live that this guy was offering. And he gave me a idea. He was talking about how the God of the Bible has gone and destroyed nations on behalf of these children. And what if you were one of the nations that God came and destroyed? What if the shoe was on the other foot, right? What if you were on the receiving end of the wrath of God? How would you feel about that? Would you see this God as a merciful and a kind God, or would you see him as a warrior, someone that has destroyed their lives. And I thought to myself, these are the things that offer the discrepancies. These are the things that, if you don't know the fullness, or even none of us know the fullness, but if you don't have a handle on a concept or the information that has been presented to us, whether it's Christian, whether it's Judaic, whether it's Muslim, whether it's a spiritual system, Ifa, Santeria, Obia, whatever it may be that you align to. If you don't have Vodun, if you don't have a concept of the various spiritual systems and their theology, if you want to call it that, or ideology, or their concept of God and their history or herstory, and you hear things, you will be able to say, yeah, that seems like that would make sense. You know, that God did lead these people. Whenever we listen to it, we hear how God has led these people and how he has displaced nations and warred with kings and annihilated groups of people, the Amalekites and the children of the east and the Midianites and the Moabites and the children of Anu and all these various names that we don't really know who they are or their relevancy in this life. And I want to speak to that today a little bit, because these are the things that I pondered early in my walk, y'all. And it would be that this leg of the journey has taught me monumental truths that I didn't know prior to this leg of my wrestle. I gotta turn the air on, y'all. It is hot in here. I tried not to have the air on because my nose starts running. And if you look up, I'm sitting right beneath my vent. But child, it's hot up in here. I need some air. Hold on. I gotta do it. Woo! Good. Gotta do it. I tried. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. I tried it. It doesn't work for me. So, nonetheless, what we're going to talk today is, what if it were you, like this concept? What if you weren't of the house of Israel? Like the Midianites felt when they saw the children of Israel were coming, they were afraid. And so they all coagulated together. The Midianites and the Moabites coagulated together. They weren't even friends. The Midianites and the Moabites. The only reason that they bridged the gap and became friendly to one another is because this common enemy. Friend, people will not even like each other. But because they're afraid of you, because they have a common enemy in you, they will become friends. They will deal with each other. They will heal or rectify their differences or come to terms with them at least. I just spoke to yesterday how in the book of Isaiah, actually in the book of Isaiah, how Isaiah is having a prophecy, and he's saying how Lilith and the dragon and the sirens of the sea and the jinn and all these spirits that have been denied access to God's kingdom, or punished, let's just say punished, would come together at the end or at the time of judgment. Isaiah is petitioning and saying, wake up. It might not even have been Isaiah. It could have been Baruch. I'm going off the top of my head. I believe it was Baruch, second Baruch. And Baruch is saying, wake up. Lilith and the dragon and all of you sirens of the sea, all of you spirits that inhabit the deep, all of you disembodied spirits that were punished and that are not in alignment to the will of God. Let us come together and let us come to terms some form of agreement with one another, because we're all in this thing together. Baruch would petition, in a sense, metaphorically, he's doing this as a metaphoric symbol to say, if we all came together, we could rectify this issue, because we're going to be judged regardless, y'all. I know you think this thing is not going to, it's going to be joyful and great all through and through. I know you think that, but I'm here to tell you that it's not. And it's been the things of my life, literally, that God has led me to this junction, that I have seen some things that I know what I'm talking about. I'm not hoping. I'm not begging. I'm telling you these things for you to grasp the concept and do something. God did not lead me and those like me this far for it not to be spoken. These things are miracles before you that you don't know the monumental extent of, because you've been lied to. You've been sold on the gossip mill to justify the things that have you've been privy to. You've been privy to monumental people's walks in real time, but you don't know the magnitude of them because you've been sold on a lie. And those people don't have the desire to break it down to you, because they don't even know what part to begin at. They're so busy being active in their lives. That's how it is. Yet, what we find is, when we see all of these movements of God waging war with the nations, God waging war with the Amalekites and the giants and unaliving them and all these different things, God going through Egypt and unaliving the firstborn. All these things seem terrible, don't they? These are the things that make you say, well, what if I was the Egyptians? I'm just a regular Egyptian citizen. And now my son has to be unalived? I can't get grafted into the house of Israel. It's a bloodline. There's nothing I can do to be grafted in. So I'm bound to the results of whatever this God says just because I was born an Egyptian. And in a way, yeah. But how did that begin? You see, we always want to partake of doing what we want. We want freedom of choice. But we don't want to stand in the results of our choices. This is where the big problem comes in at. You want all the delicacies of the buffet table. Oh, I'll have a slice of that. I'll have a slice of that. I'll have a slice of that. I'll have a spoonful of that. I'll have a cup of that. And I'll go and I'll eat this. And after I've eaten this, I'm going to go back to the buffet and decide what I want to have again. This time I'll have a piece of that. I'll have some of that. I'll have more of that. That was really good. I'll have more of that. But then when it comes for you to go to the checkout stand and pay for that, you don't want to do it. And this is where the blaming game comes in at. Everybody's eating and everybody is full. They are so full. They've eaten and they have gotten full. Now they're sleepy. They want to go home and go to sleep. But they've got to pay. And now it's who invite? Oh, you invited me. I thought you were going to pay. Oh, well, I paid last time. You should pay. Even though we didn't discuss any of this beforehand. Everybody ate and got full beforehand. But now that they've gotten full, and you were all getting along and laughing and talking about things you're going to do in the future, things you're doing now, or the good old days of the past, all of that's done because you've eaten and you're done with the laughing and the joy and the jolliness of it all. Now it's time to pay the price. And you don't want to do it. You see, when God sent the children to Egypt, the Egyptians had been mistreating these people from the time of Joseph. The Egyptians had been mistreating the children since the time of Moses. They did not want Moses in the kingdom. They were going to unalive Moses. This is what got Jethro kicked out, and this is what provoked Job to go through his testing process. Did they stand up for these children? For their brother and sister? Not even, let's take off the table that these are God's chosen people. Let's take that off the table because that'll be an extended version of this podcast and I'm trying to shorten them. Let's take the chosen aspect out. This is just your brother or your sister in life. This is just a person. And you want to unalive this person? Or you want to unalive these people because you believe God loves them? This is what's going on. And because you're so afraid that God loves these people, listen to this. And because of the love God has of these people, it disallows you to handle these people any kind of way. You've got to now think twice before you mistreat these people. You see, you can't premeditatively plot on and try to destroy or put these people in a premeditative disadvantaged state like you've done everybody else so that you can do better. And because you can't do that, you're frustrated. You see, you can't do wickedness with these people like you've done your own people and everybody else. And now you're angry and you want to annihilate these people. That's what happened. And then years later, that these children would grow into a mighty nation in Egypt. And there would be one that would come amongst them, a Messiah. Moses was somewhat of a Messiah to the children. He was a leader. He was the middleman between God and the children, and he would actively lead these people. And he will go amongst Pharaoh and speak on behalf of these people openly. And because they have someone that is giving them direction and that is speaking for them as a unit, the people are frustrated. The same people that had created a mandate when this leader, Moses, was a baby, that provoked Moses to be sent away from his family. A mandate that the Egyptians would create on their own. They would be the ones to create this whole philosophy of unaliving the male children. They did it to the Egyptians, to the Hebrews. But now that God is repaying a debt, this God, I'm telling you, y'all, you don't want to fool with him. This aspect of you that is within you, you don't want to you don't want people to rouse up. I'm telling you, God would say, okay, you want to do this? Okay. It's still going to work to the benefit of my people or these people, even if you don't want to go with the whole chosen people analogy. It's still going to work to these people because you are premeditatively plotting on these people. These people haven't done anything to you. You're afraid of these people because you want to do wicked. You've gotten accustomed to doing wickedness, and these people require you to deal with them at a particular standard, and you think you're above it. So God will repay the debt. God pulled a them on them. People hate it when you pull a them on them. They hate it. They feel like they can do it. But when you do it, it's like, how dare you? No, how dare you? You've allowed worldly acclaim and accolades to puff you up. You're living a lie. They mean nothing. They don't mean anything, friend. They're a thought process, and they're an imagination. When we look at the Midianites, these same people, afraid of the children, they make friends with the Moabites and join together to wage war against these people. And God would break them down. It wouldn't happen all overnight. And this is how God moves. See, it doesn't happen all at once. There's beauty in the way God structures it. It's just like a slow rollout. It's like a flower. It blossoms and blooms in a particular season, all the petals. And before you know it, you have this beautiful new flower. That's how God moves. All of these people will be the initiators of the wickedness. Every last one of God's enemies, all of those that God has led these people to overcome, not one of them did not initiate it first. They all initiated it. But then when it came back around for them to reap what they sowed, they cried wolf. They wanted people to forget all that they had done because there was a lapse in time. God's people, neither is God one of those people that constantly remind you of your wrongdoings. Remember when you did this to me? Oh, I'm troubled because you're doing this to me. Oh, I can't go any further because you're burdening me. Oh, but you're picking on me. Oh, they're picking on me. Oh, I'm being attacked by them. God's people don't do that. We get up and we move forward. We mount up on wings of eagles. We soar. People look at us and wonder, how do we continue to move through it? And we say the Holy Spirit, love, the attention of God, that force. We don't have to manufacture it through will. It's not empty. It's backed by power, friend. We keep going because we have no other choice. There's nowhere to go. What do? Stay still? The force in us is so powerful. You cannot stay still. You just can't. It's not an option. You must muster the strength it takes to move forward. You don't see yourself as a victim, even though you could legitimately claim yourself to be victimized. And anyone knowing the specifics of your situation would lean towards that and say, you know what, I can't deny that. They've been outright victimized. But we don't wear the crown of that. There's no humiliating enough that will allow us to not alchemize it into another jewel to add to our already bedazzled regal crown of jewels. Everything turns into a testimony. Everything makes us even more triumphant and victorious. That's how the children of God are. It's more than a mindset, friend. It's a knowing, it's a way of life. And this is how God will lead these children. These are the angles in which God would teach these children. This is why their walk has been so monumental, filled with hills and valleys. The hills and the valleys make them capable. Surely they've taken some hits. You got to take some to get some. But they've endured. The beauty of being able to take a hit is to know the experience of it. So that when you hit back, you know how to hit back. You're more effective. It's easy to throw a punch or to throw a blow. It's hard to take them. And then still keep going. Keep moving forward. And keep taking them. In doing so, you tire your opponent out. And you learn his technique. You're the wiser. Not a complainer. So, when we speak to God, the God of Israel, and the rhetoric, the commentary of, this God is a wicked God, and, what if you were the nations that he overtook? There's no wickedness in this. Friend, if it was, I would agree. I'm not out here speaking this because I keep saying that. There's no hope here. I'm not out here proclaiming the things that I proclaim because I heard somebody else talking about them. There is no safer place than to be under the shadows of this God. I have found in my walk that in searching for this God and out of fascination, I have been met with open, loving arms. God has overlooked my manipulations. God has allowed me to manipulate. I would come to God and say, God, I want this car, I want this house, I want this outfit, I want this apartment, I want whatever it is, job. And I would align close like a child does that stays up under a parent and is all baby-faced and sweetie pie to the parent until they get what they want. Then they get what they want, and what do? They go hang out with their friends. And the parent is not upset. They expected that. And then you come back when that money is gone and you really want something else. And you got all the excuses as to what you did and why you don't have any money and why you didn't save it. You're already getting them together before you come upon the parent. You tell the parent all the right things and they say, okay, all right, we're going to do it again. I'm going to do it for you again. And then this time, it might take you a little longer before you come back begging. Because you know, okay, I've been begging a long time. This is my third time. I know they're going to want to hear, they're not going to want to hear the same rhetoric. I got to come with something different. And you come back. And this time the parent says, look, no, I got to teach you. You're manipulating me now. I can't just give it to you. I'm going to have to make you do without my assistance. I mean, if you really need me and it gets to that point, I'm coming through. But I'm going to have to show you that you can't manipulate me. That's how God is. There gets a point in your life where you've got to stand in the decisions you've made. You've got to rise to the occasion of that which you were created to stand within. Will you 50, 60, 40, 30 years old still playing the games of God that you played when you were 15 and 20? God sees all that we do. And many of us, if we don't get our will done by God, if we don't feel like God will get us what we desire, we'll partner with anybody. And we will bask in the successes and the love of that until we exhaust that. And then we got to start reaping what we've sown of that. We got to start paying it forward. Yet we don't want to pay it forward. We never want to pay. And whenever it's time to pay, it becomes a blaming game. Now God is the problem. No, you're the problem. God is not the problem. It's you. You've been bedazzled by the creations and the sparkly things. That's it. But then when it's time to pay the price for them, or get more of them, because you've exhausted all that you've had, now you don't want it. And God is somewhat the problem. And now you micromanage God and you say, yeah, God was is this, God is that, and look at what God did to these people, and look at what God did to those people. Look at what those people did. Don't forget what those people did. And then misjudge God. You cannot forget what the people did, friend. You got to look at both sides of the story. From the Egyptians, and I'm a lover of Egyptian history. I know it. It's fascinating. But there came a time within the Egyptian system of power that it became extremely convoluted. And it is when it became extremely convoluted that God began to show plagues upon that system. And out with it. And it has not yet come back or resurrected itself to the heights of which it once stood. The Egyptian system was a powerfully it was a powerful spiritual system. But like all systems, they had reached the apex. They had gone as far as they could go in their perfection. And guess what? They were so knowledgeable that they had reached the apex and was able to command the clock to rest there. They could stop the descent. They commanded the clock to rest right there. Yet what they would not know, this is how I tell you, you'll never understand the fullness of this life. I don't care how ingenious you are. They would not know that in resting at this space at the 12 o'clock hour, 3, for an elongated amount of time, that the debauchery was set in just as if it would if it descended. Water must always move. And in it resting, movement, there is none. There's some in the sense that one can manufacture movement of the still water. They could come down and turn the water. But if that one that knows the science of doing such is ever compromised or removed, displaced, who could come and do it? You turn into a Nimrod. It becomes covetous, this knowledge. And you end up with the same result that you would get, or even worse, actually, because you're manufacturing now. You're not allowing it to go into its natural descent. You are prohibiting it from doing so, and you are manufacturing longevity, holding it here by will. So it's a different kind of debauchery. It's a different kind of decline. Anyway, so yeah, that's my word for you today, is that God does not, all the things of God, friend, are good. I'm here to tell you, I have been in situations where I have seen the wickedness of the enemy. I've seen firsthand how he moves. I don't need an opinion. I've studied it. I've looked at it in ways that would frighten most people. It would frighten them. They wouldn't be the same. So I've paid attention. You know a thing by its fruit. You can talk all of that stuff. In today's society, if you have a bag, if you've got money, you can convince people to say whatever you want them to say. And then if you get the right people to say the right words for you, you can control image and all of that kind of stuff. However, all of that is vanity. At the end of the day, what is the truth? You can create a storyline to project yourself as this and never do the work to really be that. If that's what you want to do with your life, nobody's going to have to deal with that but you. No one's going to have to stand in the results of that but you. That is all you. Or you could actually go about life and do the work to be that, or to embody that. So that when the winds of life pick up and the enemies come amongst you, with I hear people talking about humiliation rituals. They were talking about that last night on social media too. All these humiliation rituals and all this kind of stuff. When they come with the humiliation rituals, they leave having humiliated themselves. How do you humiliate someone walking in truth? Whatever avenue you want to highlight to discredit that person has a valid conversation to support why they traveled down that avenue. And a lot of times it counts as glory to them and an humiliation to the one creating the rhetoric. God is truth. There is no other way. This is my word for y'all today. Very short. I said I was going to start making these a little shorter. Yeah. God is a loving God. I'm here to tell you, God is a God that you find shelter in, safety. I'm talking about love, friend. Warm and fuzzy love in the midst of chaos. God is a God that does not forget a thing. I've said this when I first came on and I was doing these Bible studies. God doesn't forget a thing. He's a equalizer. He levels the playing field. Everybody gets a fair shot. Regardless of if they're wicked or if they're good, everybody gets a fair shot. When we look at the children of Israel going into bondage with Babylon, everybody gets a fair shot. Even though it hurt God to do it, even though the children of Israel were shocked, everybody gets a fair shot. Everybody. And God takes into consideration the saboteurs and all of those that come to sabotage those out of their shot. God takes into consideration all of these things. Everybody gets a fair shot, friend. And you hold God to that. How? By moving in the ways that God has established us to move. By giving God no reason to condemn you. By doing as God told Abram, to be named blameless. God is saying, Abram, if you allow yourself to be blameless, I will bless you like you've not ever seen in your life. Abram's main job in life was to walk the line. I'm walking this line. I'm not getting overly enamored with anything. It doesn't bother me. I'm not so attached to anything that I can't do without it. I'm walking the line. And in that, all that I love is protected. And God would honor his promise to Abram. Abram would be walking potential. He and Sarah. Old people with a multitude of seed within them. When I was watching last night, the gentleman made a comment on Hagar and said, well, how would you feel if you were Hagar and you were a teenager and you got sold into the house of Abram, and Sarah gives you as Abram's wife, and now you got to lay down with this old 80-year-old man? And I thought, yeah, that's pretty tough. That's a tough thing. But you've got to remember, what were the Egyptians doing? They were doing this as well. This is what I say. You've got to know the full story of these things. You can't paint God as a wicked one. God is a repayer of debt. God says, you're going to owe me. Do what you want. This is why God leads his children the way he leads them. It's hard. Friend, God has led me through things and allowed me to befall things. And it made me question, like, are you angry with me? What have I done to deserve this? Yet the further I go in it, God is establishing a debt. When we look at Abram, when we look at Jacob, when we look at Joseph, when we look at David, all of these people would be indebted. Moses, God first leads you in a way, and he sits you right in front of people, and he allows people to show him if he loves them, if the people love him, or if they hate him, by what they do to the people God sends in front of him. And God will allow them to do whatever they choose to do, to an extent. Why? Because you're going to owe. You're going to owe. God is establishing a debt. The Egyptians had done this all along. This is why Abram could justify lying and saying Sarah was his sister. They were taking people's wives and killing the husbands. Innocent men that come to their kingdom not because they want to, but because it's the only resource they have for sustenance, food and water. And even if you don't align to their God, or they don't align to your God, you are all brothers and sisters on this planet. They're not aligning to the law of their heart. They're disregarding the code that they were created to regard. And this is what will get them caught up. But then when you see it reversed on them, you want to claim hypocrisy, or you want to claim wickedness. How? How? It's amazing. It is amazing. This is my word for you today. Just giving you something to think about. Giving you something to put off into the pot and stir around and watch bubble up. God is a fair God. God is a thorough God. God's promises do not fall to the ground. There is surety in the word of God. And I thank God for that. I thank God for that, friend. It justifies the dedication needed to receive it. It's worth it. It's expensive, this love of God, friend. It is a luxury that everybody can't afford because everybody doesn't desire to do the work to receive it. And I know many people will say, well, that's terrible. We should all get it. We should. We were created to default into it. But because we've been put in a position where now we know too much, we've seen too much, we've been exposed to the wrong things, we've been corrupted. So a lot of times, many can't even trust their own selves, let alone another person. A lot of times all the time, when you choose to bring someone in, whether as a friend or a romantic partner or whatever type of partner, you've got to wonder, do you love yourself? Because if you don't love yourself, you'll never love me. You'll never see who I am. To you, for you. You won't see the value that I bring. You'll look to destroy me because you don't see you in me. What you see in me will make you hate me. It will turn into envy and jealousy. And not just me, people in general. If you haven't risen to a sense of knowing within yourself and you're not able to come to terms with that or seek help with that, and you're too proud to show that, you will do anything and everything in the world to hide that. You will hurt anybody in the world just so that nobody knows. Just so that you don't have to stand aside someone that does. Instead of standing side by side with those people, you'll look to unalive them, to destroy them. And this is what the Egyptians would do. This is what the Amalekites and the children of the east and the Midianites and the Moabites and all of the people that God destroyed, this is the philosophy that they had. And this is the same philosophy that a lot of people have in the world today. All is well. All of this is in support of how I saw someone say the God of the Hebrew house was wicked, and how if you were one of those people of the nations that he came upon, how would you feel if you were one of those people? You were the Egyptians, and you were a son born at the time of the Passover. How would you feel if you were an Amalekite or any of the enemies of the children? And my argument is, their leaders, those that came upon them, initiated whatever it was that befell them. The Egyptians were the first to initiate the unalivement of Hebrew man. The Amalekites and the Midianites and the Moabites and all the rest of them were the first to initiate their wickedness on these children. God has not ever told these children to go and wage war with any nation. Not one. For no reason, friend. You can't show it to me. Not one. But he is a remember He is a repayer of debts. He doesn't forget anything. I'm telling you, he dots all I's and he crosses all T's. He doesn't forget anything. He is a God that will lead his sons and his daughters amongst the nations to see how they receive them, and allow his sons and daughters to be abused by them to an extent, just so they owe them, just so that they're indebted. Not as a setup, but to show them. To show them the error in their ways. But you'll miss it if all you remember is the retribution that God will show unto these people. If you don't remember back to how it began, you'll never be able to understand the ending. You will think this God is wicked and revengeful and all this kind of stuff. You'll label it all of that. But if you remembered how it began, you would say, okay, I can see. All right. I can see how this could happen. I could see why God would do such a thing. All is well. I really wish you all would join the live instead of watching from a distance. It's okay to come in. It doesn't hurt. I don't bite. I'm the same person if you come and enter the live as I am if you watch from a distance. And I'm not angry with you. I understand. I do. But if I can keep your attention from a distance, I surely can keep your attention by entering into the live. Nonetheless, your love more than you'll ever know. I'll never stop telling you. Be good to yourselves and be good to one another. Peace and love.